You are going to listen why. She called 911 on me for fishing at my own lake. Imagine this. You're relaxing at your own lake, fishing peacefully, when suddenly a woman storms up, screaming that you're trespassing. Minutes later, flashing red and blue lights pull in. The twist? It's your land, and you're not even part of her HOA. This is how one Karen learned the hard way that not every lake belongs to her neighborhood. She thought the lake was hers. She brought fake rules, fake power, and even called the cops. But what she didn't know was who she was dealing with. It began as a quiet Saturday morning. The kind where the water glistens like glass, and the world finally feels still. For years, this lake had been my escape, my peace. I had worked for it, paid for it, and built every inch of the land surrounding it. But peace never lasts long when an HOA Karen thinks she runs the world. From the day she moved into the neighborhood across the water, I noticed her, always watching, always judging. At first, I thought it was harmless curiosity, but soon her curiosity turned into obsession. She'd drive past my gate every morning, slow down, glare, and shake her head, as if I was breaking some invisible rule. I didn't live under her HOA. I wasn't part of her community or her strict, self-appointed regulations, but that didn't matter to her. In her mind, if she could see it, she controlled it. The first confrontation came fast. No greeting, no discussion, just demands. She told me fishing here was against HOA policy. I laughed it off. My land, my water, my right, but laughter only fueled her rage. And within hours, she escalated. By that evening, police lights reflected off the water like broken glass. 2 officers stepped out, calm but cautious, responding to a trespassing call. Apparently, the criminal was me, standing on my own property. I explained everything. I showed them the deed, the map, proof that this lake wasn't under her HOA's control. And as the truth unraveled, I could see it in their eyes, frustration. They'd been dragged into another HOA mess when they finally told her she had no authority here. She didn't apologize. She didn't even blink. She just stared at me with that cold, bitter look, the kind that says, "You may have won this round, but I'll be back. What would you do if this happened to you? Let me know below." The next morning, I found tire marks by my gate. The fence latch was loose, and a bright orange paper fluttered in the wind. An official HOA violation notice. The problem was simple. I wasn't in their HOA. That's when I realized this wasn't over. This wasn't about fishing. This was about control. About someone desperate to prove she could own everything around her, even what was never hers. And soon, she'd drag her entire HOA into a war they couldn't win. Because when you push a man off his own land, you better be ready for what he builds to push back. The next few days were quiet to quiet. The kind of silence that feels planned, not peaceful. I tried to brush it off, telling myself the whole 911 stunt had embarrassed her enough to stop. But people like her don't stop. They plopped up. By midweek, I noticed small changes around my property. My mailbox unopened even though I hadn't checked the mail. The trash cans, once neatly placed by the fence, were now tipped over and dented. Then, one morning, I found a bright yellow envelope taped to my front gate. Inside was another HOA violation notice. Same logo, same formatting. But something felt off. The address was wrong. The signature at the bottom wasn't even from a real HOA official. She had forged it. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just trying to intimidate me. She was building a case, a fake paper trail to make me look like a troublemaker in the community. I started documenting everything. Every notice, every sound outside after midnight, every car that slowed near my driveway. And I wasn't imagining it. The pattern was clear dot at least twice a day. A white SUV passed my gate, always slowing down before speeding off. I knew it was her. The reflection from the windshield caught her sunglasses every single time. Then came the phone calls. No one spoke on the other end, just breathing. Then a hang dash up dot. It wasn't random. It was pressure, psychological warfare. One evening, I decided I'd had enough. I set up a few cameras along the fence, hidden but facing the road. If she was planning something, I wanted proof. That same night, just after midnight, the motion alert went off on my phone. I opened the live feed, and there she was, flashlight in hand, pacing by my gate, whispering into her phone. She looked at my camera directly, smirked, and walked away. The next morning, another notice appeared, this one bold and red. Final warning, remove unauthorized structures. Immediately laughed when I saw it. The unauthorized structure she was referring to? My boathouse, the one I built 5 years ago. But my laughter faded fast when I saw the bottom line. Failure to comply will result in HOA enforcement action. It wasn't just her anymore. She had backup now. And that's when I realized I wasn't up against one angry neighbor. I was up against the entire HOA. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of engines, not one, but several. When I stepped outside, 3 pickup trucks were parked near the end of my driveway, engines still running. Men in reflective vests stood by the gate, pointing at my property like they owned it. And right there, standing tall with a clipboard and that same smug smile, was Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. I walked down slowly, heart pounding but face calm. "Can I help you?" I asked. She turned without missing a beat. "We're here to inspect the unauthorized construction. You were notified." I almost laughed. "This is my lake property. There's no HOA here. You're trespassing." Her grin didn't fade. "Oh, we'll see about that. The county's going to love this footage." I realized then she'd brought a camera crew. One of the men held a phone, filming everything like I was the villain of her little neighborhood drama. This wasn't an inspection. It was a performance. A public humiliation attempt. So I did what any sane person would do. I pulled out my phone, too. "Perfect," I said. "Now we're both recording." For a moment, she froze. Then she turned, waving her hand dismissively. "Gentlemen, take note of the structure's measurements. He's out of compliance. Out of compliance." With what? Every word was calculated. She wasn't just trying to annoy me anymore. She was trying to build evidence. Something she could twist and submit as an official complaint. I could feel the anger rising in my chest, but I held it back. I knew if I lost my cool, she'd win. Later that day, I went to the county office myself. The clerk at the counter frowned as I explained the situation. "You're saying the HOA is claiming jurisdiction over a property outside its boundary?" I nodded. She shook her head, disbelief all over her face. "That's not possible. They have no legal authority here." She printed a document, stamped it, and handed it to me. "This is your proof. Keep it safe." I walked out feeling victorious, but that victory didn't last long. By evening, flyers appeared all over the neighborhood. "Dangerous property owner at the lake. Avoid contacting me name." My address. Even a picture of my gate. She was trying to isolate me, to make me look like a threat, and it worked. People I'd waved to for years stopped making eye contact. One neighbor, an older man, even crossed the street when he saw me coming. It wasn't just a feud anymore. It was character assassination. That night, I sat by the lake, watching the water ripple under the moonlight. I thought about everything, the fake notices, the cameras, the lies. She wanted control. But what she didn't understand was that she just picked a fight with someone who doesn't break easily. I wasn't going to let her win, because now I had proof, a plan, and a reason to fight back. And she was about to learn that the lake doesn't just reflect peace, it also hides secrets. The next morning, I drove straight to the county courthouse. I'd barely slept, running on anger and determination. I wasn't just fighting for peace anymore. I was fighting for my name. Inside, I handed the stamped document to a county investigator and explained everything: the trespassing, the fake notices, the false claims. He read quietly for a while, then looked up with a mix of disbelief and annoyance. She's impersonating authority. He said flatly, "That's serious. We'll handle it." I left the courthouse feeling lighter, but not for long. When I returned home, Karen was there again, this time with two police officers. My chest tightened. For a split second, I thought she'd actually managed to get me arrested. She'd pointed toward me, voice dripping with fake panic. "That's him. He threatened me and my volunteers. He's unstable." The officers walked up calmly. One of them asked for my ID while the other kept an eye on Karen. I could tell they weren't entirely buying her story. So one officer said, "We got a call about harassment. She claims you're building illegally and making threats. Do you have any documentation?" I smiled slightly, trying not to let the satisfaction show too soon. "Actually, yes, I do." I pulled out my phone and opened the folder. Every video I'd taken, every time-stamped recording. I showed them her trespassing, her bringing men onto my land, and a county-stamped document proving I wasn't part of her HOA. The shift in the officers' faces was instant. One looked over at her. "Ma'am, can we see your proof of jurisdiction here?" Her lips trembled. "It's under review." She STAMMERED. They exchanged a glance. "All right, we'll be reporting this. You'll need to leave the property immediately." For once, she had no words. She turned, red-faced, muttering something about legal misunderstanding as she stormed off to her SUV. I should have felt relieved, maybe even victorious, but deep down, I knew she wasn't done. People like her don't quit. They retreat, regroup, and return meaner than before. Sure enough, 2 days later, I woke to find something new. My mailbox ripped open, letters scattered in the mud, and a note taped to the post. "You think you've won? This isn't over." That's when I realized she wasn't just obsessed with control. She was obsessed with me. I called the investigator back, forwarded every photo, every message. He promised to escalate the case and hinted that she was already on thin ice. With several complaints from other residents, that night I sat by the water again. The lake was calm, but I wasn't. The reflection in that dark surface looked like a stranger, someone tired, someone ready to end this once and for all. It wasn't just about stopping her anymore. It was about exposing the whole rotten system behind her. The HOA mafia that thought intimidation could rule everything. Because now I had allies. The county, my footage, and soon the truth. And in the next part, you'll see what happened when I finally turned the tables, as she realized that the person she tried to destroy had been documenting everything. When the county finally handed down its decision, it was over. Just like that, Karen was officially barred from any HOA activity, fined for false reports, and issued a restraining order to stay away from my property. For the first time in months, the air around my lake felt clean again, peaceful. I remember standing on the dock that evening, watching the water ripple in the sunset. The same lake she once claimed was community property. Now it was quiet. Mine again, legally and rightfully. Neighbors began showing up too. People who'd been too afraid to speak out before. They shared their stories, their frustrations, their own run-ins with Karen's fake authority. One of them said, "You did what all of us were too scared to do." I didn't see myself as a hero, just a guy who finally said enough. Weeks later, I heard she moved out of the neighborhood entirely. Word was, the HOA replaced her with someone actually reasonable. Maybe she'll think twice next time before pretending the world belongs to her. And as for me, I still fish at my lake every weekend. No sirens, no shouting, just peace, the kind that only comes after you've fought for it. What would you do if someone tried to take what's yours? Would you stand your ground or walk away? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more real HOA drama, and share this video with someone who loves seeing karma play out perfectly. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud, it's peace. This is HOA Real Drama. And that was the day HOA Karen learned she doesn't own everything.